Wilson didn't blink. When Caitlin Clark broke viewership records and inspired a generation, they moved fast, designing, launching, and promoting a product line that flew off the shelves in under an hour. Meanwhile, Nike, once the beacon of bold moves, chose delay over decisiveness. The company that made legends out of athletes like Jordan and Serena now finds itself scrambling to justify its silence.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
It's inaction, and it's erosion of trust among fans and insiders alike. Nike's brand once symbolized fearless innovation, but its recent missteps with Clark point to a corporation paralyzed by politics and risk aversion. The backlash isn't just public. It's financial, strategic, and reputational. Wilson's rapid success with Clark isn't luck. It's proof of what happens when brands value talent over timidity. As the sports world shifts toward authenticity and inclusion, Nike's reluctance may cost it more than a lawsuit. It could cost its legacy. Caitlin Clark suing Nike didn't just send shockwaves through the sports world. It exposed something deeper, something that's been brewing for a while now. Nike isn't the fearless, culture-leading machine it once was. It's slow, indecisive, and in this case, flat-out wrong. Caitlin Clark is arguably the most impactful name in college basketball today, male or female. She shattered records, filled arenas, and turned games into must-watch TV. Her influence is undeniable. She's not just part of the conversation. She is the conversation. And when someone like that comes along, brands are supposed to jump. Especially Nike, a company that built its empire on partnering with generational athletes at exactly the right moment. But when it came to Caitlin, nothing. No campaign. No signature line. Not even a statement of intent. Just radio silence. Nike didn't just miss a marketing opportunity. They ignored a movement. And now, they're paying the price. Caitlin finally reached a breaking point. After months of anticipation from fans and mounting pressure across social media, she publicly declared her intention to sue Nike. The reason? Their complete lack of engagement, despite her record-breaking performance and surging influence. The brand that used to pride itself on bold action suddenly froze when it came to the biggest name in women's basketball. That's not just an oversight. It's a full-blown strategic failure. Meanwhile, Wilson saw what was happening and didn't waste a second. They stepped in, launched her basketball collection, and watched it sell out in 40 minutes. Not once. Over and over again. Consumers couldn't get enough. Wilson's move wasn't just smart. It was a lesson in how to actually recognize talent and act on it. While Nike sat in boardrooms worrying about optics, Wilson said, "She's a star. Let's move." And it worked. Clark's collection with Wilson didn't just generate revenue. It solidified her cultural and athletic legacy. It gave fans what they wanted. It gave her what she deserved. And it positioned Wilson as the brand that gets it. This is the exact kind of moment Nike used to dominate. They used to be the brand that took risks, that moved fast, that saw the future and grabbed it before anyone else. But now, their name is being dragged through headlines, analyst reports, and fan forums for all the wrong reasons. The lawsuit turned a disappointing corporate choice into a public disaster. It doesn't take a business degree to see the consequences. Nike's market share is slipping. Their valuation has taken a hit. And more importantly, their credibility is under fire. The Caitlin Clark debacle revealed just how outdated their decision-making has become, stuck in fear, politics, and old playbooks that don't work anymore. People aren't asking whether Caitlin deserved a signature deal. That question's been answered 1,000 times over. The real question is, why didn't Nike see it? The answer? Internal dysfunction, strategic hesitation, a fear of controversy that's keeping them frozen while the rest of the industry evolves. And it's not just about Caitlin. Her case is the tip of the iceberg. Industry insiders have been pointing to a troubling pattern: delays, double standards, missed opportunities. Other athletes, including stars like Paige Buchers, have been similarly underutilized despite their proven talent and audience appeal. There's a growing sentiment that Nike's endorsement game is broken, and the numbers back it up. Nike's reputation was built on its ability to identify and support groundbreaking talent before anyone else did. But when it came time to support a female athlete changing the game in real time, they blinked, and the silence was deafening. Caitlin Clark is suing Nike because she knows her worth, and she knows what it means when a global brand pretends not to see it. She's holding them accountable in a way few athletes ever have. And honestly, it's long overdue. Her lawsuit is a direct challenge to the idea that legacy brands can continue ignoring rising talent in women's sports and expect no consequences. It's a rejection of the outdated mindset that says controversy is to be avoided at all costs, even if it means turning your back on the very athletes who are shaping the future of the game. Nike's failure to act decisively reflects a deeper institutional problem. Their hesitation has exposed how internal politics, outdated strategies, and fear-based decisions can paralyze even the most powerful companies. Their refusal to publicly support Caitlin Clark wasn't neutral. It was damaging. It showed fans, athletes, and industry insiders that Nike doesn't lead anymore. It follows. And slowly. The backlash isn't going away. Industry experts have called this a wake-up call for every legacy brand. Because if Nike can't recognize the importance of someone like Caitlin Clark, what does that say about their ability to navigate the modern sports landscape? In contrast, Wilson's success isn't just good PR. It's a business strategy that reflects the values consumers want to see today. Authenticity, agility, inclusion, courage. They didn't overthink it. They saw an athlete doing something historic, and they matched her energy with action. And they were rewarded. Wilson now holds the blueprint for future endorsements. Move quickly, be transparent, embrace talent, and don't get bogged down by what might happen to someone somewhere might not like it. The public has shown over and over again, people support brands that support the people they care about. Nike is now stuck trying to spin a narrative that has already passed them by. They've lost the trust of the fans, the respect of the athletes, and a huge chunk of the market. And unless they overhaul their entire strategy and start listening to the cultural moment they're clearly missing, they risk fading into irrelevance. The Caitlin Clark-Wilson partnership is what endorsement deals are supposed to be: timely, meaningful, and successful. Nike's silence, by contrast, is now a cautionary tale. A lesson in what happens when a brand that once led the industry decides to coast on reputation instead of keeping up with reality. Caitlin Clark didn't just file a lawsuit. She forced an industry-wide conversation about how we value athletes, who gets opportunities, and how quickly brands are willing to move when it matters most. She isn't just playing basketball. She's setting a new standard. And Nike? They're left on the sidelines, watching as another brand runs circles around them. What do you think? Was Nike's silence the biggest misstep in sports endorsement history? Are legacy brands too comfortable? Or is this just a one-time stumble? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you're following the drama. Share this with someone who's tired of brands moving slow. And subscribe so you don't miss the next fallout. Because if this story proves anything, it's that when stars rise and brands hesitate, somebody always gets left behind. And the one getting left behind right now? It's Nike. Think about what that really means. This is Nike we're talking about. The juggernaut. The industry pioneer. The brand that once built its identity around athletes who challenged convention and reshaped sports. The company that didn't just endorse greatness, they defined it. For decades, Nike set the standard. If you were a game changer, Nike found you, backed you, and turned you into a global icon. But when it came to Caitlin Clark, they hesitated. And hesitation is deadly when the world is moving this fast. Because here's the thing, the endorsement game has changed. Fans don't just want a shiny ad campaign anymore. They want authenticity. They want immediacy. They want to know that the brand supporting their favorite athlete actually sees them, actually gets them, and actually believes in them. Not months later, not after market analysis, but now. Caitlin Clark isn't just popular. She's a phenomenon. Her games brought in record-breaking viewership. She packed arenas. She shifted the entire narrative around women's basketball. That kind of impact doesn't come around often. And Nike, Of all companies, should have known that. They've built billion-dollar empires off of recognizing cultural lightning before it strikes. So why didn't they act? The answer is ugly. Fear, outdated thinking, internal politics. Nike has reportedly been stuck in strategic paralysis, afraid of the backlash, afraid of controversy, afraid of missteps. But in trying to avoid a risk, they made the biggest mistake of all. They ignored relevance. And the fallout is everywhere. They've lost credibility with the public. They've triggered widespread criticism from fans, industry experts, and athletes alike. Their valuation has dipped. And most of all, they've lost the trust of the people who once looked to them as leaders. Meanwhile, Wilson, yes, Wilson, has become the unexpected hero of this entire saga. While Nike stalled, Wilson understood the assignment. They partnered with Caitlin Clark, put her front and center, and launched her basketball collection without delay. The result? Multiple sellouts, a fan base that felt seen, and an athlete who finally got the recognition she deserved. Wilson's move wasn't just a marketing win. It was a cultural moment. It said to the world, we support women in sports not because it's trendy, but because it's smart, it's right, and it's long overdue. And here's the kicker. Wilson didn't need flashy campaigns or overproduced commercials. They didn't tease fans with empty promises. They just acted. Clean, clear, direct. The kind of branding move that used to be Nike's specialty. That contrast between Nike's caution and Wilson's clarity is now the center of the conversation. And it's becoming harder and harder to ignore the broader implications. This isn't just about one lawsuit or one athlete. Caitlin Clark's battle with Nike has exposed systemic flaws in how legacy brands approach women's sports. The message has always been clear. Female athletes have to overperform just to get half the recognition. And even when they do, there's still no guarantee a brand like Nike will step up. The double standard is glaring. Male athletes with less reach have landed deals faster and with far less scrutiny. They've gotten signature lines, massive campaigns, and brand-backed legacies, while women like Caitlin have had to wait, and wait, and wait, all while pulling historic numbers and rewriting the playbook. It's no longer a question of whether women's sports are profitable. That debate is over. The numbers are in. The demand is there. The fans are louder than ever. The media is finally paying attention. So why is Nike still acting like it's 1998? Because they become risk-averse. Because they're prioritizing corporate comfort over cultural leadership. Because somewhere along the way, they stopped listening. Caitlin Clark's lawsuit didn't just shine a light on Nike's failure to act. It showed us how far they've drifted from the bold, disruptive company they once were. And fans are noticing. Loudly. The backlash online isn't just from hardcore sports fans. It's from casual consumers, from athletes, from parents, from everyone who's tired of seeing undeniable talent ignored by the same brands that claim to stand for equity and empowerment. You can't run a women's empowerment ad during the Super Bowl and then ghost the most visible woman in college sports. That's not empowerment. That's performance. Caitlin called their bluff. By announcing her lawsuit, she didn't just make headlines. She forced a reckoning. She challenged the entire structure of sports endorsements. She made it clear that silence has consequences and that talent like hers won't be sidelined to protect a brand's image. And again, Wilson didn't wait for the noise. They listened. They believed. They acted. Their success is now a blueprint. Their strategy is being praised by analysts and fans alike. They're not just part of the conversation. They've changed it. They position themselves as the brand that gets it in a world where most still don't. And Nike? They're scrambling, trying to manage optics, trying to figure out how to repair the damage. But the truth is, this story is now bigger than any one apology, any one ad campaign, or any one last-minute partnership. It's about what brands do when it matters. Nike's inaction sent a message. So did Wilson's action. And the public has chosen which one to reward. If Nike doesn't pivot fast, they risk becoming irrelevant to the next generation of athletes. The ones who are watching this unfold in real time. The ones who are paying attention. The ones who now know that being great isn't enough. You still have to be chosen. And if a brand won't choose you when the whole world already has, why align with them at all? Caitlin Clark is already a household name. She doesn't need Nike to prove that. What she did need was a partner that respected her accomplishments enough to act on them. That's what Wilson gave her. That's what Nike refused to deliver. And now they've become a case study in failure. A cautionary tale in what happens when you let fear dictate your brand strategy. A headline for all the wrong reasons. This moment will be studied by marketers, by athletes, by fans, because it's not just about business, it's about belief. It's about values. It's about actually showing up when the spotlight's on. Nike? They're on the wrong side of that line. Let's stop pretending this is just about shoes or marketing deals. It's about power, visibility, respect. It's about what happens when the biggest name in the game refuses to recognize one of the most influential athletes of our time. Not because she wasn't ready, but because they weren't. Nike's problem isn't just that they missed out on Caitlin Clark. It's why they missed out. Fear, indecision, internal politics. While Caitlin was making history, Nike was making spreadsheets. While Wilson was dropping signature products, Nike was holding closed-door meetings. And while fans were waiting to see the brand that shaped Jordan, Serena, and Kobe get behind the next icon, Nike delivered nothing. Nothing but silence. And now, that silence speaks louder than any campaign ever could. It says, "We'll celebrate you, but only when it's convenient." It says, "We support women's sports, but only on our terms." It says, "We want the clout, but not the accountability." Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark had already proven her worth on the court, in the stands, and across every screen. She wasn't just a basketball player. She was, and still is, the cultural moment. She didn't ask for hype. She earned it. She packed arenas like rock concerts. She brought in millions of viewers. She lit up social media. And her Wilson collection? Gone in minutes. Every time, Wilson didn't need a focus group to understand what was happening. They saw it, they believed it, and they backed her. That's how modern branding works. Today, if you're not fast, you're forgotten. If you're not bold, you're bypassed. Nike's failure to act wasn't just a missed opportunity. It exposed their deeper issue. They no longer lead. And in an industry that moves at the speed of trending topics and sold-out drops, that hesitation is fatal. The lawsuit wasn't just shocking, it was necessary. Caitlin Clark suing Nike was a reminder that athletes don't owe silence to brands that don't respect them. It was a power move in a space that still tries to treat women like secondary investments. And yes, it was long overdue. Because this isn't a one-time misstep, it's a pattern. Just look around. The history of women's sports is full of delayed deals, watered-down campaigns, and forgotten talent. When women succeed, they're often met with hesitation. When men succeed, it's met with instant contracts. That's not a coincidence. It's a structure. Caitlin's lawsuit cracked that structure wide open. She's not just demanding a contract. She's demanding accountability from a brand that built its image on never playing it safe. And now, they're the most cautious voice in the room. Let's be honest, Nike didn't need more time to make a decision. They needed more courage. They could have owned the moment. They could have dropped the collection, launched the campaign, and watched the world eat it up. Instead, they flinched. And in this business, when you flinch, someone else moves. That someone was Wilson. They're not just capitalizing on Nike's failure. They're redefining what it looks like to actually support women in sports. They didn't wait for Caitlin to become safe. They backed her because she was shaking things up, and the numbers speak for themselves. Wilson's partnership with Caitlin isn't just good optics. It's printing money. It's breaking the mold. It's setting a new standard for what athlete brand alignment should look like in 2025. Nike, on the other hand, is left trying to reframe the story. But at this point, it's too late. The damage is done. The silence already told the story. And Caitlin Clark? She's not begging for their validation. She's building her own lane, with or without them. Her lawsuit is a warning to every brand watching. If you aren't ready to support talent when it matters most, don't expect to be part of their legacy later. Because the game has changed. Today's athletes don't just want a contract. They want a partnership. They want brands that don't just talk inclusion, but live it. Brands that don't just celebrate diversity during a campaign cycle, but embed it into their decisions. Caitlin Clark's rise is proof that the old rules don't apply anymore. You don't have to wait for corporate approval to be iconic. You don't need a swoosh on your chest to dominate. And when the biggest brand in the world fails to act, you call them out, you call your lawyer, and you let the world know exactly what went down. Caitlin Clark did that. She forced the conversation. She shifted the power. She made it impossible for Nike or anyone else to keep operating like this. Now the entire industry is on notice. And while Nike tries to figure out how to clean up the mess, Wilson is off building a dynasty. With the athlete Nike was... Let us know what you think. Did Nike just blow their shot at the future of women's sports? Should other athletes follow Caitlin's lead and take brands to task? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you're done watching legacy brands fumble. Share this with a sports fan in your life, and subscribe for more breakdowns on the meltdowns nobody saw coming. Because this isn't just about one lawsuit. It's about what happens when athletes take back the narrative and brands get left in the dust.